Hello and welcome to another episode of Cigars and Pairings. I'm Brian, and today I got something special for you. Today is the sequel release in the Arcana series by CAO. It is the Firewalker. They call it the Firewalker because they use a process called chincagre, and the chincagre it's a process by which they tie the tobacco in pylons and then they bury it deep in the rich volcanic soil of Nicaragua, and it ferments naturally under the soil for 2 months, and then after that there's an additional 9 months of secondary fermentation. So the Arcana series is something that CAO is. It's a series of premium cigars that are released using unique and old world methods of fermentation. Like stuff that, if you'll remember the Mortal Coil that we did a review of, it used a process called Andulo, where they tied it into palm pods and put it up into rafters, and that's how it fermented. So this is really interesting. The chincagre process, burying it in the soil, is supposed to bring out a lot of natural sweetness. This cigar is kind of like a pepper jelly. It's interesting. It's sweet and spicy. Let's check it out. Firewalker, yeah. The first thing I'm going to say is I don't like the band this year. I don't like big bands that take up over half the cigar. Not a fan of hiding, the cigar, and this is the kind of band that one of the only kind of bands that I'll go ahead and take off now, because it's just so big. It hides the beauty of the leaf. It's a beautiful cigar. It's got a Ecuadorian Habano Rosado wrapper, which I think that's my first of those. And inside it's Nicaraguan binder and filler, but the filler is the chincagre treated Nicaraguan tobacco. So right off I'm getting leather and a little bit of bell pepper, and there's like a sweet dough. But that bell pepper, there's like a vegetal kind of note with that bell pepper. It's interesting. I guess they kind of try to make like a little twist off cap. So you kind of don't have to have a cutter for this one. They kind of make it easy to just pull that off. So I'm getting a nice gingerbread on the foot. Baking spice and sweetness, and like cayenne, something like that. Okay. So the taste is really interesting. It's got that vegetal note, that bell pepper note is right there. Yeah, that cold draw is just bell pepper and hay and sweet bread. All right, let's go ahead and light this puppy. Already smells like sweet alfalfa. There's no shame in making sure it's all lit. Part of not having runs on a cigar is catching them before they happen. This cigar's VITOLA is supposed to be a double Toro. I think it's 6.5 inch by 50. It says 56 inch ring gauge, but this thing is very close to a 60. It's not a 56, it's more like a 58. And I think that accounts for, it's kind of got a loose draw compared to the Mortal Coil was tight. It was hard to light. It was one of the hardest to toast and get lit. This one takes the flame easy, and it's got a really loose draw. Not that that's a bad thing. Some people like a loose draw. So in these first few puffs, you get quite a blast of pepper. It's like a mix of cayenne and black pepper, but there's, you can right away taste a little bit of that sweet hay and, that sweet bread or dough that I talked about earlier. that Chincagre process is really interesting because the sweetness is kind of maintained throughout the whole cigar. There's just a lingering sweetness throughout the whole thing. So I'm not saying, even though it's, like I said, it's a spicy cigar, but it's like pepper jelly. All right, so in this first third, that initial pepper blast really kind of mellows out and it becomes more of a toasted jalapeno. I don't get jalapeno flavor a lot, but it's just, this is something that I'm picking up in this one. But that sweetness is still there. It's kind of like a, like I said, it's like a bready sweetness. Maybe a little bit of cornbread, like cornbread with jalapeno in it. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to smoke this down though. We'll get into the second third and I'll bring out my first pairing. But stick around. So this second third is where I think the cigar really shines. The pepper, the toasted jalapeno kind of transitions into full-on baking spice, and the bread becomes cream. So you get a creamy, sweet, it's kind of like a cinnamon roll almost, a little bit. But really creamy. And that sweetness just maintains. Like I said, you've always got a little lingering sweetness. It's either bready or creamy, but it's really nice. So going with the first pairing, I went with something that I normally don't do. I went with a triple, the Allahash Tripel. It's got notes of passion fruit and honey. And it's just what ended up pairing the best with this cigar. So all right, so cheers. Yeah, it's really light and sweet, but it's got just enough of a yeasty note to play with the vegetal note in this cigar. So, I don't know. Check it out if you've got some near you. Allahash Tripel, it's enjoyable. The one with passion fruit and honey, it's particularly for this cigar. I'm sure the other varietals are good too. But. So I'm going to go ahead and smoke this down a little bit and have a little bit of this triple, and I'll meet you back here for the finish and our final pairing. That Firewalker. Gotta love it. I'm not being weird. It's the Firewalker. It's good. Welcome back to the finish of the CAO Firewalker. Coming into this finish, the baking spice of the second, third, it's transitioned into a soft white pepper. So the spice we get is very muted. The cream is still there. Creamy white pepper. And there's a vegetal note that's back. It's not exactly earth or bell pepper. It's kind of, I'm gonna say it's the closest thing I can say is maybe chopped shallots. I'd say it's definitely medium strength all the way throughout. It doesn't kick your butt nicotine-wise like the Mortal Coil did, because seriously, I had some friends I gave that stick and they were wiped out by halfway through. This one's a lot more milder. a lot middle of the road. Still, flavor-wise, it's really unique, and like I said, they did a great job going the opposite direction, because the Mortal Coil was definitely nothing like this. But now's a good time to get into that all-important final pairing. And for this one, I went with Ardbeg Corryvrecken. And I hope I'm saying that right. I guess when you say it, you kind of have to put on a little bit of a Scottish accent. For Scotch, they usually don't do a lot of overproof stuff or barrel-proof stuff, but Corryvrecken is what I'd consider like a barrel-proof. So it's their barrel-proof iteration. I think they do another one. I can't remember the name. They do their 10-year age, and then they do Corryvrecken, and then there's another one that I can't remember. That's also, I think, a barrel-proof, but I tried both, and the Corryvrecken is the one that really paired well with this particular cigar. So let's go ahead and do a pour here. I love that classic old school green bottle to keep the light out. So this is really, it's nice. It's like a little bit of the sea, but there's a lot of sweetness there. There's just a whisper of pepper in the aroma off the top. But immediately, when it enters the palate, you get a blast of black pepper, and then that sweetness washes over. So I found this to be a really paralleled pairing with this, because it kind of highlights both that pepper and spice, but also the sweetness that underlies the whole thing. And the sweetness is really what washes over your palate on the finish with this Corryvrecken. So if you're not one of the initiates of the Islay Scotches, go out and get yourself some Ardbeg. Maybe try a 10, or you know, if you like to kick it up to the barrel proofs, Corryvrecken's where it's at. That lingering sweetness plays well with the white pepper of the finish of this cigar. Go out and get yourself a Firewalker. Try it with some Ardbeg. I hope you join me for some more episodes, or maybe some of my little nub videos where I go over tips and tricks about cigars, or just things related to cigar smoking. And cheers to you. Thank you very much.